Okay, here we go. In addition to what we said during our conference, let me just do a few specifics about the bulletin itself. Here we go.
Winol's cameras caught the action as the Prime Minister revealed how he plans to win the election.
See what I mean? Winol's cameras capture the action. It's just a bit dice, just a bit. Let's make it, an exclusive. Or we're right in the scene as the election campaign is up and running in Eastleigh.
People's taxes and let them keep more of their own money.
The Tory hard sell continued. Next up was Employment Minister Esther McVey.
To hear about what sort of jobs they are full-time.
Okay, that's not too bad.
As an earthquake hits Winchester.
Destroy everything.
You see, destroy everything. It just doesn't sing. I think when you look at it back now, you'll understand that's not quite right, is it? Okay, let's move on to your packages.
Eastleigh became the centre.
See, it needs a welcome there. Hi, I'm Victoria. This is Winchester News Online. Hi, I'm Angus Scott, and this is Winchester News Online. Good afternoon, or whatever it might be. Hello, and then get on with it.
Political world this week, as senior Tories lined up ahead of the fast approaching election. Brooke Perriam has this.
See, all a bit brief, need some more, don't you? Need to develop the story, then lead us in.
Prime Minister.
Good opening start, great opening shot, and you get the nat sot underneath. Really well done.
Cameron knows that Eastleigh is one of the key seats the Conservatives have to win if they are to form the next government.
Today I want to talk about financial security. I want to talk about tax. And why this is so important is after the security of a job, the next best thing we can do is to cut people's taxes and let them keep more of their own money to spend as they choose.
Mr Cameron also spoke about his fears for what might happen if Labour was to form a coalition government.
See, that's a good wide, it's a good cutaway, and this is a great grab coming up, so well done.
If there was anyone in this room who thought the worst possible outcome of the election was an Ed Miliband-led Labour government, actually, I can now tell you something that would be even worse, and that is Ed Miliband in Downing Street, supported by the Scottish National Party, who want to break up our United Kingdom.
But it appeared there was one issue.
See, that's a nice cutaway. Just makes this here, just makes it all a little bit more interesting. And you see a smartphone doing it. That's different, and it's good, nicely in focus in the foreground. He's blurred. It's a really good, thoughtful cutaway. I really like that.
Dominated the day. Tax cuts really important, and lifting people out of tax if you're on minimum wage is very important when you're really watching those finances, and people want to know that the politicians get that. The Prime Minister has promised a series of tax cuts which
I like the move coming into that shot. You see, that's good. That's just a little bit different. You've thought about it. Well done.
down well with the party faithful here in Basildon, but will it be enough to persuade those all-important floating voters? Brooke Perriam, Winchester News Online.
Eastleigh, okay, just do Eastleigh. And as I said, just a little bit more so we know about Eastleigh and the state of play in Eastleigh. Otherwise, again, Brooke, really good stuff.
Also in Eastleigh this week was Jobs Minister Esther McVey, who visited a local engineering factory to talk about unemployment figures.
Unemployment is at an all-time low. That's according to figures released by the Employment Secretary, Esther McVey. Since August 2000,
Maybe push that a little bit more so we can just hear it. Because there's a gap in your voiceover, just push her natural sound, the nat sot, up a little bit so we can hear that. Just gives it a better flavour.
the amount of people claiming job seekers allowance in Winchester has fallen from over 1,300 to only 378.
Good, that's really good. Nice graphic.
The figures also show that just fewer than 83% of the city's population are earning an income and classified as economically active. That's far above both the national and the regional figures. However,
You said fewer than 83% are earning. Did you mean that? But you say it's above the national average. Just be careful about your wording there.
Claim that the figures have been manipulated, with the new jobs being in part-time, low-skilled or temporary work.
Jobs, 80% of those new jobs that we've got for people, nearly 2 million, are full-time jobs. 75% are managerial, high-skilled and professional. So the scare stories you hear and the myths you hear about what sort of jobs they are full-time and professional.
While most people would welcome the rise in employment figures, there are those who feel that there is yet more the government can do.
I feel I'd like to see the grants, I think it's £1,500, I should say, grant that's made available to businesses that take on an apprentice. I'd like to see that made available to all businesses.
The average wage is increasing, with some employers remaining sceptical of this. What is clear is that they must pay a competitive wage to attract those with the right skills.
Wages go up a little bit to support the skills and the improving skills in the workplace, then I think that's a good thing for everybody.
The Conservative Party will hope that the data will continue to show evidence that the economy is picking up as we move towards the general election. This is Ryan Hewlett, Winchester News Online, Eastleigh.
See what I mean, Ryan? At the end, it just runs away with you a little bit. Would be nice to see a little bit more of the work going on, whatever he's doing or whatever goes on here and here, just to see a little bit more action in this warehouse. It may not have been possible, but just an array of shots. What are all these bits? What's that? Okay, it's a fan. We know that. What's this? Just so there's a little bit more, okay?
I'm now joined by our news editor, Laura Harding. So we've had David Cameron and another senior Tory minister coming to Eastleigh.
I think that can be directed at Laura. I think, really, rather than back at us.
Then keen to talk about the economy. But what can we read into all this? Well, it's a key seat for the Conservatives. It's currently held by the Lib Dems, but if David Cameron wants to return to Downing Street after May's general election, the Tories really need to win swing seats like Eastleigh. The Conservative strategy is to focus on the economy for two reasons. It's one of the key issues for voters, and with employment down, inflation down and growth up, they feel they're in a strong position to claim that they have delivered on their economic promises.
So he's looking good so far, and this is just enough to give it a little bit of interest, a little bit of movement, and you've got all this going on. And you're really strong and authoritative. So, Laura, really good.
But the other parties simply do not accept this. Labour say that government has failed to deal with the deficit, which was a key Tory pledge, while the Eastleigh MP Mike Thornton took to Twitter to claim Tories were taking credit for Lib Dem achievements. The figures put forward by Employment Secretary Esther McVey have also been criticised. Unison told me that yes, there are more jobs and more...
Nice trick, Unison told me. It just makes you look informed, as if you've been talking to all your contacts. What do they say? What's this side of the story? What's the other? Really a good, simple technique, but well done.
Working, but many of these jobs are part-time or zero-hour contracts. Unions also point out that the number of people using food banks is soaring. With the election only weeks away now, it's no wonder that every claim by politicians...
I might have just frozen David Cameron because he's disappeared out of shot, and a little bit strange. Maybe freeze him there.
...heavily scrutinised, especially in battleground seats like Eastleigh.
But that is excellent, excellent work.
Thanks, Laura. Now, did the earth move for you? Well, if you were in Winchester last night, it probably did.
That's beautifully delivered and a great line. Maybe a little bit more of a twinkle in your eye, but that second half of it is really, really good.
It's hard to believe that the city was hit by an earthquake yesterday. Our environment correspondent Rebecca Herbert spoke to some of those who experienced it.
Jaden Carey was enjoying a quiet night in when the earthquake struck.
And then we just had this bang, it was like boxes falling off the shelf. The bang was noticeable because we had to stop.
See what I mean about the sound? I think you can hear it. Picture, I can deal with it. It's a little bit washed out, but the sound obviously is a difficulty.
Like, ask what it was. 6:30 for me.
Also, when you're shooting, look, both of these girls are looking in this direction, so they are camera right. And while it's framed okay, if you got her over this side and looking in this direction, then it would edit much better. But you've shot them both looking right to left. If you'd had her looking left to right, it would look better as an edit.
Well, I didn't really directly feel it because obviously I was swimming. And then, like this morning, and we started talking about it.
So actually, she knew nothing at all until this morning. So leave her out.
Very nice to wake up one day and an earthquake or a hurricane or something could have just destroyed everything and the cathedral would just be a pile of rocks.
The epicentre of the earthquake was just north of Winchester.
This is really distorted as well. It's like you're peaking on your voiceover, so there's an issue there with that. I don't think this is in the compression on the download or the upload. This sounds like in the voiceover booth.
Tremors were felt throughout the region as far away as Bath, Petersfield and Bournemouth. This was the scene at the epicentre.
And one other thing, sorry to go back. Since when were we so European that we did everything in kilometres? We still deal in miles, so all that should be in miles. Okay.
Tremors were felt throughout the region as far.
And something I didn't notice before, but I have done now. Peter's filed I before E, except after C. Okay?
As Bath, Petersfield and Bournemouth.
There are a couple of black holes you've got in this, going from one thing to the other. Never have a black hole in a news bulletin. Just go mix from that or cut straight to
at the epicentre this morning.
Yeah, what does that show? Actually, nothing. Where is that? Epicenter, but we can't see any visual evidence of anything.
It also took to social media to describe what happened. Overnight,
As I said, that was all too quick.
there were fears over Winchester's cathedral.
And that's a wobbly shot.
Yeah, but I think we might have seen a couple of panes of glass, little globules of glass maybe falling on the floor, but no, I think it's too far away.
British Geological Survey today warned there might be more tremors following on from last night's quake.
In the studio
And a sign off, maybe?
now is Lucy Wilson,
Yeah.
who experienced it first.
Sign off after the end of that, Rebecca, and then we know where you are, what you've done, and take credit for your work.
And how did the earthquake feel?
Well, it was pretty scary. I was in the house at the time, and my whole family were in the house, all on different levels, upstairs and downstairs in different rooms, and we all felt it. It felt like the earth moved beneath our feet, and it also felt like a lorry had hit our house. So it was a sharp blast for about 5 to 10 seconds. So it was quite intense.
That's a really good description, Lucy. Well done.
So when you first felt it, you were the first one to break it to social media?
Yeah, well, after it happened, we looked around the house to see whether anything had happened to the house because we thought that it might have been an explosion or something else. So I wanted to find out whether it was an earthquake or whether it was an explosion. So I took to Twitter to find out if everybody else had tweeted about it. I was one of the first few, I believe, maybe the third to tweet, and then after that hundreds of tweets came in. So I knew from then that it was an earthquake.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today. And there was a royal visitor at Hampshire Hospital.
Just needs a little bit of a change of pace. I think you were slightly caught there between the thank you and the new one and what was actually happening. But, you know, it's fine. Just try and differentiate between the two stories. So thank you, Lucy, and then you're going to move on, and there was a royal visitor and something like that.
To announce an initiative which could transform the lives of seriously ill young people. Ryan McAndrew was there.
Sophie Countess of Wessex visited Southampton General Hospital and Nursing to officially open a new specialist cardiac unit. The 17-bed unit specifically caters for children, young adults and their families, and is the only one of its kind in the South.
You see, what I was questioning there, Ryan, is the fact that you did say the number of beds, so apologies for earlier, but there you're saying, okay, it caters for them, but what is it doing? Basically, what is it offering? That's what I want to know.
Ashton Hicks, a patient at the hospital, has fundraised for the new unit.
Cardiac patients out there feel like they're alone, and I want to do a CD to counteract that, so to think they're not alone, there is someone out there who's actually going through what I'm going through as well.
The NHS does a superb job, but we can enhance that through our fundraising.
Hundreds of young cardiac patients from across the South will benefit due to the opening of this specialist unit. Ryan McAndrew, Winchester News Online, Southampton.
So, yes, I know they're going to, it was a little bit needless, but I still want to know exactly what that unit does. I do know there are 17 beds, but I want to know what it does. And then we get this.
Eastleigh could be banning lorries from its town centre.
Okay, so that's just been dropped in straight away. It's a good story, banning the lorries, but we've gone straight into this story that I'm confused because it's a news in brief and we need to come into the studio first.
Shock as 9 dogs that dumped around Winchester in appalling condition. When found, the dogs were unrecognisable. They were unable to see and struggled to walk. Nearly £4,000 has been raised by the public to find out what happened to these pups.
Good story.
Chris Hellinger, founder of Copperfield Charity, held a talk with primary education students at the University of Winchester about teaching cancer in schools.
It's important.
Teaching cancer? What do you mean? The dangers? Diagnosing what? That doesn't quite say what you meant it to say.
We get messages from people saying I was diagnosed early because of you.
And then you got that shot on the end. You need to freeze it or run her long and just take the sound down. So she's doing what we say is goldfish bowling. So her mouth is going up and down. There's no sound coming out, just so you get a better edit. Otherwise, you get what you just got there was a tiny little bit of the next frame, which is a bit ugly, really.
In other news, a Winchester doctor is going to West Africa to volunteer in the fight against Ebola. Our reporter Henry Nixon has this.
Again, just extends the intro so we get a little bit more information. Okay, as I said, we need more background to it and the basically implications of it. And then Henry can go into some detail in his piece.
Dr. Suktankar currently works at Salisbury District Hospital. In 2 weeks, she'll be in Kerrytown, Sierra Leone, fighting the lethal Ebola virus.
See, that is a great, stonking opening line. Really good, Henry, and fits in with her doing a walking shot and the door closing.
It's like kind of when I started medicine that I was...
See what I mean by it being a bit profile? She's looking over there. I'd like her to be looking, out this way, and then we'd see more of her face. I can only just see that eye, and I can't see any of the other side of her face. So you come nearer the camera over here, and you'll take her eye line to over here, and we'll see much more of her face.
Do things and save the world, and I've left it a bit of a long time, to be honest. So I just decided that it was about time I went. It was easy to go because it's been set up by the UK government, it's funded.
So far, 3,145 people have died in Sierra Leone, but progression of the virus is slowing, with new cases reaching an all-time low earlier this month. Back in Salisbury, Dr. Suktankar's colleagues are supportive of a trip to West Africa.
I think it's a great thing for her to do. She's a brilliant clinician. She'll be awesome out there.
Really nice to get that grab. It just adds quite a lot to it.
Ebola has devastated West Africa. However, that's not what Priya fears.
I think my biggest worry about going there is that I'm not going to be able to help as much as I want to. I might get bored because the hours will be shorter than I'm used to. And I'll see a lot of people that I'll have to turn away and not be able to help, and I'm not used to that.
Okay, I'd like a sort of slightly different ending if we can. I mean, it's fine, but it would just nice to have a line that take it forward. But it's a really good story and nicely put together.
Suktankar there, and to see how she gets on, you can check out her column on our Winol website. And
that's a good idea too. Let's drive as much traffic as we can to our website, not just everybody else's.
And now, over to sports correspondent Rachel Gunter with the sport.
Thanks. We start with Saturday's clash near the top of the Conference South between two promotion hopefuls. A win for Basingstoke Town would send them second in the table and close the gap on leaders Warren Wood.
This is what I'm saying, we don't want this future tense stuff, okay?
Bromley was also looking to go second, but had travelled to the Soccer AM Stadium in poor form, having lost their last 4 games in all competitions. Roger Cannon was there to watch the unfold.
Okay, so as you see, there's a much better way to start that. Get a news angle on it.
Basingstoke and Bromley went head-to-head at the Soccer AM Stadium in a clash of promotion, and after good work from Chris Flood, the Dragons took the lead from Sean McCauley.
Nice different shot, celebrations, good, well done.
The visitors were behind instantly as Anthony Cook's curling free kick found its way past Stuart Hall.
I know that's a really good angle. From a free kick, you might just about get away with that. But as I said, I still think camera 1 would probably be best. As I said, from a free kick, you might just be okay. And because you've got this animation here, and you have the purpose of mind just to fade over here, just to pan slightly to get all these celebrations. So I think it's actually a pretty good shot. But that's probably the only time you can actually do behind the goal as your first sight of this goal. And that was so blurry, it was you could barely see what was going on. And then this is probably what we should have seen first time. Then you could cut to all these supporters here.
Nuked up the lead early in the second half, as a speculative effort eluded Moore and nestled into the net.
Good stuff. Good celebration.
Cook with a brace, and only a second game for the Ravens.
And really good timing and yes, fine, that's good. And really good timing in your voiceover. You've got a real space and just let it breathe, and then starting on that replay. So really good.
Tom Bird was perhaps lucky to stay on the pitch, as his dangerous challenge on Cook angered Bromley players and fans on.
That, while it looks nice and you get a real close-up, is actually confusing because you've got such a different angle. So again, go for camera 1 shot. So go for whatever you've got up here, so you see that view there, and then go for this replay. And maybe, you put the old-fashioned replay on it or something, reverse angle.
But the referee saw fit to only give him a yellow card.
Saw fit, as I said, a little bit antiquated.
With 10 minutes to go, Basingstoke almost went level through Bromley's Callum McNaughton. The defender diverted a dangerous cross towards his own goal, but debutant keeper Alan Julian tipped it expertly over the bar. Roderick Cannon, Winchester News Online.
It's a great save, and I just wonder whether, we should see it from the other angle first and then see a replay. But I applaud you for experimenting and for having that many cameras taking that many angles. So well done.
The Keys Swimming and Diving Complex in Southampton welcomed Red Bull cliff diving world champion Gary Hunt to its facilities on Sunday. Hunt, who has won 4 Red Bull world titles and won back his title after finishing second last year, was there to coach and inspire the next generation of divers.
See, that's a proper link. Who's totally explained what is going to happen. So from that point of view, very well done.
Afzal Zumra was on hand to catch up with him.
And nice and clearly read, Rachel. Good way to start. Let's have a dive. Don't need a voice. You've done the right thing.
Gary Hunt was at the Keys Swimming and Diving Complex in Southampton to pass on his knowledge and expertise to several young divers.
Now, that's just repeating what has been said in the link. So when you've got a piece like this, you can be a little bit more inventive. You can say Gary Hunt is used to diving off 100-foot cliffs. So this is a walk in the park or a breeze, that sort of thing for him. So I think you just be a little bit more inventive with your language.
I was never the best in the world in my age group. I was never the best in the world when I got into the seniors. It was just my love of the sport that kept me going when I didn't really see a future for myself.
See, this is what I'm talking about, where you've got 3 shots getting closer and closer into him, okay, all from the same angle. So if you've got a low level looking up at him, or whatever it might be, slightly from the side, then it would have been better. Otherwise, you've just got a progression of wide, MCU, and then tight.
Yeah, even if you're having bad days, you're not very confident. Just as long as you're enjoying it, then it can take you places, and that's the key.
It's clear to see that Gary is an inspiration to the children here, but only time will tell if any of these youngsters can dive into success and become the next world champion.
So it's clear to see that he's an inspiration because he's not been near anybody else. And I wonder if he must have some footage from somewhere of him diving that you might be able to use. There must be something that you can get into this package just to spice it up. And he's not with anyone else. He is not where you haven't got to any of the kids to go, oh, he's brilliant. What has he taught you? What is he imparting of his knowledge to anybody there? That is the thing that is really missing.
Cliff Diver, Axel Summerer, Winchester News Online, Southampton.
That's all from sports this week. Back to the studio.
Well done, Rachel.
And finally, a look at this week's features with our features editor, Beth Tremling.
This week in W2 magazine. In health and fitness, Ellie gives us her top 5 tips for running your first 5k. Tip 1, have a good warm-up routine. Start by stretching out your leg muscles.
And then before you start to run, walk quickly for 5 minutes.
Our fashion editor, Caroline, shows us exactly what's trending this season.
I've got quite a diverse taste.
Hattie goes behind the scenes to interview the up-and-coming band, the Whale Tones, at the Coffee House Sessions.
It's being
and Lauren goes on an adventure to Spurshot College for Valente.
That little jump cut, I'm not sure works. I mean, the bits are good. I just, as I said before, I wonder if they're just a touch too long. We need to trim them and make them really quite pacey, and then I think you'll add to it and you make it more of a tease.
Or go to www.winol.co.uk/here and now.
Prime Ministers, royalty and an earthquake. It's been an incredible week in Hampshire, but remember there's always more. Do check out our award-winning website, winol.co.uk. Goodbye.
See, that is a really good bulletin. A nice smile, well done, authoritative again, well read, and all in all, a really, really good job. A great mix of stories there, which I've thoroughly enjoyed watching.